Remember, I love you all very much.
You do.
This is your final warning. If you do not comply, we will force entry. Keep moving.
Kane! Kane! I've just had her threatening me in the toilet.
No more questions.
No, she cornered me and said if I didn't lie for her that my family would be in danger. She said that her dad, who was up there, by the way, would hurt my family.
Kerry said that she asked you to keep an eye out for me and I don't need you to. Okay? What I need you to do is keep your ears open in there. Why? Because I'm going to find out who Al was sleeping with. Because of her, my mum has had to leave. So I'm going to find out who it is. And when I do, she's going to wish it was Kerry dealing with her and not me.
At number 9 in my soap opera rankings for November 2022 is Emmerdale, and that is because this might be the lowest point that Emmerdale has ever been at. Emmerdale as a show has been low in my book for a long time. I think I've talked about it enough how the Dingles just do not do it for me as a family. They eat up the show, and I don't really care about them because they're just gigantic hypocrites, which is what made up a lot of this month of Emmerdale. So I think the combination of the Dingles already being a very obnoxious, poorly written family these days, combined with the writing on the show overall being bad, certainly makes for a very tough period to watch with Emmerdale. The writing is definitely not good. So the big story coming out of October after the big anniversary for the show was, of course, Al being shot dead. And it looked like Kane was probably the one that did that because he was the one with the shotgun. That, of course, was not the case. Kane was protecting somebody. And, of course, he was protecting his son. That was the very obvious thing. It wasn't some big revelation that the show tried to make it seem like. So Kyle was somehow the one that shot Al with the shotgun, by the way. Kyle's a child, basically. I don't know how Kyle was able to fire the shotgun and not have blowback himself and hurt himself, but I guess that wasn't the case in this predicament. So that's the story we're getting. That's the big story on the show, is Kane is trying to take the fall for Kyle. Obviously, Kyle's going to not go to prison for this, so the story is going to be a drawn-out story that we've actually seen many times on the show. This is like the third time, I believe, that Kane has been accused of murder that he didn't actually do. So we've already seen this many a times for the character of Kane, and we're seeing it again now, and it's just written so bad and boring. I mean, yeah, I've said it many a times. I don't like the character of Kane, just like I don't like most of the Dingles. And they're not helping his sister out with the writing. At times I've liked Chaz, but right now they continue to write her as a really terrible person. She had that affair with Al, and look at all these events that she's now caused with that affair, I suppose. It's kind of been the chain reaction of that affair. And she does not want to take responsibility for it. She continues to try and play the victim, even with Kane, who is sitting in a jail cell awaiting murder charges because of the chain of events that Chaz set off. She hasn't come clean to Patty, and Carrie left town, but Chloe wants to find out who Al was having an affair with. Chloe is suspecting it's Maura, and that's why this whole thing happened with Kane, and that's why Kane was so upset to kill Al. And she even tells this to Chaz, but does Chaz admit to the affair? No, of course not. Chaz is going to try and continue to get away with it. I think this story would have just been way better if Al wouldn't have died in the first place. But Emmerdale just always has to go for shock value over everything. They really genuinely care about shock value over anything. I think the affair story with Al still alive would have been so much more interesting than this drawn-out, boring story with Kane trying to take the fall for Kyle, where we know Nothing's going to come of this because this is the Dingles. We've seen this time and time again. When the Dingles are involved, they always get out of it. And Kyle's a child, and it was self-defense. So why are you putting us through the storyline? It sucks, and it's boring to watch in the first place. But the bad writing, you know, it doesn't end there for Emmerdale in November. We have Vinny depressed about Liv's death, and we get this really awkward scene that I guess is supposed to be funny. I guess it's dark humor. I'm sure a minimum number of people found it funny. But, like, has the ashes, and it gets knocked over. Liv's ashes get knocked over, and some of it goes in his mouth, and it was just gross, but they all laugh about it. The characters laugh about it. It was awkward and weird, and I think, like, it's a slap in the face to the memory of Liv as a character. I don't know. That was another strange writing decision from Emmerdale there that I didn't like. Another poorly written story is they changed the character of Samson completely. Yeah, just because Amelia's pregnant with his baby, Samson went from this really sweet kid who was like best friends with Amelia. But now that she's pregnant with his child, he's done this complete 180 where he's trying to gaslight her into thinking she's a terrible mother and needs to get rid of the child. On one hand, I get it. He's a teenage boy. He doesn't want to be a father, yes. But to completely change his character to act terrible with Amelia, it goes against his character completely. That is just bad writing. To completely change his character for a story is the worst kind of plot-driven writing. And I like plot-driven writing when it's exciting, but when you completely change a character and make him this negative, it's not working. And on the flip side, it's like they're trying to make Noah the good guy now, which shouldn't be a surprise because he's a Dingle, so of course other characters are going to get thrown under the bus to make a Dingle more likable, which is what they're trying to do for Noah here as a character. Noah's going to be Amelia's boyfriend who's going to help raise the baby. Hate this storyline also. Another storyline to hate is David, who continues to like make... He's terrible in his relationship with Victoria. We see David time and time again go from relationship to relationship and be a total fuck up. I'm tired of watching that. It's another redundant storyline on Emmerdale that I think a lot of the audience is over with there. The one saving grace story for me kinda is actually the Naomi and Nicola story. At least it kind of had decent writing to go with it. Naomi went on trial but turned in her friends that helped attack Nicola, so Naomi got a lesser charge. I think the storyline is at least somewhat written decently, still kind of boring like the rest of the show. And I feel like this story gets a lot of blowback from a part of the audience because they don't want to let the character of Naomi have a shot to grow and have a shot to, you know, develop, even though you'll watch the Dingles be so repetitive over and over and over again, constantly, never really evolving. You'll watch that over and over again, but you can't give the character of Naomi a chance. I think the bad writing for this show has affected the fan base of this show. They will fight hard for the Dingles and vote for them for awards, but this is the kind of show that they give you. And it's the Dingles' fault because of the way they've had to write the hypocritical Dingles over and over and over again, the same kind of storylines. It's quite possibly Emmerdale could eventually drop to my worst soap for the month here. Luckily for Emmerdale, Bold and the Beautiful has such terrible writing as well that it's a hard drop to get to. But Emmerdale, not a good show right now. Not a good show at all.